Welcome to week 4. And so right off the bat I want to address something. And that is how our discussion went for last week. I've been teaching this class for years and it never turned out like this. I had almost everybody write questions, first question, second question, and then they answered it like essentially your discussion seemed, well, I mean, I'm imagining a lot of you were bored with it or you weren't really getting a lot out of it. I mean, if I'm wrong, then I'm glad that I'm wrong. But this did not turn out the way that I intended, nor that how I usually have these discussions. Okay, so to clarify, I mean, when I talk about a discussion, a question, occasionally where I mention for you to address something on from the Howard Zen text, it's meant to be set up for a discussion, some feedback or some food for thought, as opposed to being like a mathematical equation. Hey, what year did this happen? And then somebody answers, oh, on this page it said blah 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 happened. That is not what I want us to do. Okay? I want us never to have this happen again. If I'm asking you or mentioning to you to go ahead and should we say make a question, then the question is supposed to be a food for thought. So, for example, I'm asking you guys a question on your Sunday paper. Do you think that the American War for Independence was really a revolution? And then you're drawing on information. Everybody's having access to the same information. Not everyone is going to have the same interpretation. And every time I make this assignment, I get people who argue that this was an authentic revolution, and others argue differently based on the information that we have, that we covered. So, when I talk to you, when I mention to you about ask 2 questions from Howard Zen, I want you to say things like, okay, Howard Zen said in this chapter, let's say, blah 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 blah. And then you say, do you think that he's making a fair assessment here? I mean, you can use it to critique him. Does the tone that Howard Zen sets right here, do you think that this is misleading? Or if so, why? Or but don't just make it up for no reason. I mean, look at the text and engage with it and get your fellow students to discuss, the meaning. Okay? That's what our discussions are supposed to look like. Not what we just had happen. Unless everybody tells me that was 100% successful and everybody felt like they learned something from that. Then it's okay. But I don't feel that was the case. And I saw some comments of people starting to feel weird. It felt very mechanical. This is, not how I want this class to be, okay? And so, hopefully, what's happening is that you're getting into this week's assignment and you're seeing an actual discussion take place that you with food for thought that you haven't heard of before regarding the status of a very important time period for Americans. Americans from the United States of America. So, in any case, I think I made that pretty clear. Always feel free to, of course, to call me if you need something. If some of you are getting behind, I want to remind you that you need to call, contact me, write to me, or something like that. If you want to get late work done, don't just send it to me 2 weeks later. I've kind of let some people slide with that. I'm going to start not taking in that work. You can't just have late work without ever addressing it to the professor and then try to come back and give late work, okay? So you need to be in communication with me if you're going to have some problems keeping up, okay? And I think that that's all that I have to say now for this week. So I hope you enjoy the material. One last thing. I do have some links. I have something about 1776 being a counter-revolution, a little bit going over Thomas Paine. You should take a look at that brief article on the review about the counter-revolution of 1776. And just to get a different perspective on that from a newer writer. But whatever. I mean, and I'm not saying you have to agree with it, but you can use that material for your Sunday paper if you want to do that. In any case, have a good week and just get in contact with me.